Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives right after big important news. And today we got big important news. With us, Alan Lone, President and CEO, Augusta Industries. Trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol AAO. Now, for those of you who are new to the Augusta story, the company's two wholly owned operating subsidiaries, Marcon and FOX-TEK, provide a variety of high-tech and industrial services to some pretty incredible tier one clients around the world. The two companies together combined in Q for the quarter ended March 31st with revenues of $1.72 million. That's a significant increase over $880,000 for the same quarter last year. Marcon, that's an industrial supply contractor. They're servicing the energy sector and a number of U.S. government departments. Check out this client list: Department of Homeland Security, NASA, the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Air Force, on and on. And on the corporate side, Kuwait Oil Company and Qatar Gas. How's that for a list of clients? FOX-TEK, the other subsidiary, develops non-intrusive monitoring sensor systems for the oil and gas market. That helps them keep track of their pipelines and refinery vessels, make sure they don't have leaks and major problems. Their clients include Enbridge, Shell, Chevron, and many other tier one energy companies. So they're both great, but today we're here to talk about FOX-TEK. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hello, George. How are you?
I'm great. How are you with this headline? Augusta selling FOX-TEK Canada to Mooncor for an aggregate purchase price of up to $21.5 million. Before we get into the details of the deal, how are you feeling and how happy are you guys over at Augusta?
I mean, again, this has been long coming. We've started this a few months ago, and I've been waiting for it. This is truly unlocking the value of FOX-TEK and still having value to carry on with Augusta being an owner of this technology.
And you talk about unlocking value. The current market cap of the company is about $6.5 million or so.
Yes.
So this deal alone is worth potentially up to 21.5. Let's break that down.
Okay.
$9.5 million of that is going to be in stock, 47.5 million shares, common shares of Mooncor, and the balance going to be in royalties. Let me talk about the royalties first. How do you think Mooncor is going to operate the company so that they can deliver these royalties to you and the shareholders over the next 10 years?
So, frankly, unlocking the value in these two methods, shares for the 9.5 million and the royalty as a stream. We see that we're really entering in a new phase in the industry. In the past, as you probably well know, when I took over FOX-TEK, it primarily did corrosion monitoring. It was new in the field. They had 5 systems out. Since a year and a half or 2 years, we started looking at other technologies. We, as you well know, and we've produced on different PRs and a couple of times that we've talked together, leak detection is going to be our primary technology. We've successfully had it tested by a third party. That's an interest that was driven by our major client, Enbridge. And since then, we were paired up with 10 other technologies or so, and we came right on top of that because since that test had occurred, we've had 3 different opportunities. We've just landed a very small leak detection, sort of as a phase 1 on some operations in North America through an engineering firm that worked for our client. And I will see that we will be putting out, FOX-TEK will be putting out press releases continuously with successes closing different orders. The company's changed quite a bit. It's no longer just the corrosion monitoring piece of the equation. We've been working on the pressure, temperature, bending and stress and strain with the fiber brag. Remember, FOX-TEK started as a fiber optic company, but that old FT technology is long gone. It's history, and that was really history before I ever got started. The only thing we had going was corrosion monitoring, and I think we will see some successes outside the oil and gas business on the fiber brag technology. We've gotten into the nuclear side of the business here locally and in the UK. Some news will be coming forward with an actual contract on a phase 2 of what we just got started end of last year. So having said all that, I want to just go back a little bit, if you don't mind, George, and talk about what we were planning on doing. We first initially planned a plan of arrangement where we would spin out and go public with FOX-TEK. We faced a lot of issues and complications having Augusta be a Delaware corporation and FOX-TEK, the subsidiary, a Canadian one. We would have had to cross the border, do several plan of arrangements, go to several courts. It's just a quagmire of legal stuff that's beyond me.
Nightmare, actually, but for a small cap company especially. Yeah,
for sure. And it's time and effort too. Like, it's more than the value and the money just spent on a transaction of that sort. So we did announce that we're looking at other ways of doing this. In the meantime, we had a couple of companies look at us and offer a solid offer on the table that is short of what we have today.
So you had a bit of an auction at the end of the day. So this wasn't just one deal, one company. You had a couple of offers on the table.
Yeah, and that's the drag.
It would feel even better that you got the best possible value for FOX-TEK.
Yes, and that was the drag really for a while, because we didn't want to take the wrong decision. We wanted to give everything ample time, but by the time things came all in and the picture was drawn right in front of us, we thought this is the best opportunity. Now, some people look at it as, well, Alan Lone is a CEO and a director of Mooncor. Mooncor is a very small company with some oil assets, but it's really closer to a shell than anything else. Going forward, I will not be the CEO. There will be a transition. There'll be a new team and a new set of board of directors. The only influence that we have is we as Augusta would be the major shareholder in this new entity, and that's how we go forward. So it's not like a lot have seen it probably as, Alan's just separating two companies, running them the same way. Well, it's going to be a little different.
So it's going to be an independent operating team, independent board of directors. You can focus on Augusta. Mooncor is going to focus on Mooncor, and that should make you all pretty happy over there.
Exactly.
How vindicated do you feel? Look, the nature of the small cap space is you don't always have the right values or it take a long time for the right valuations to be associated to an organization. So how vindicated do you personally and your team feel the fact that you were the subject of some criticism? People thought things weren't moving fast enough. They don't know how things really operate in this world. How vindicated do you feel about the fact that after walking the company, you managed to sell off one of the assets here for $21.5 million versus what it was probably worth when you first took over?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to unlock value, and the message was a little mixed message with Augusta, having Marcon on one side, having blockchain introduced, having FOX-TEK in there. It was just not, the message was not coming through at all. So we wanted to separate them. Now, I want to stress a little bit, other than the consideration of shares for the 9.5 million of FOX-TEK, I want to stress that the royalty is based on licensing agreements that we will sign both for product, the technology itself, and for the services and DMAT. That licensing agreement is valuable. It could be securitized. It could be bought and sold. So you've got a value of 3 cents for the 9.5 million based on the float that we have, and another 4.5 cents. We're talking about the realm of 8 cents for a value, and that's great. I'm ecstatic because I think during these days and the industry and the space that we're in, I think we're doing a good job. We sure spent quite a bit of money and time and effort coming up with these technologies, and that value can't break out unless you do what we're trying to do here. And I think it's best served with a small team in the new call it Mooncor, or we change the name to something more reasonable, related to the industry. With a new board, a new set of eyes, I think this thing will push forward with leak detection, with the fiber rag technology, along with the corrosion monitoring side of things too.
Alan, I got to tell you, you sound extremely confident in what the new company is going to be able to achieve, and it sounds like you're pretty confident that that royalty cash is going to be able to come to fruition, or much of it or all of it, over the next 10 years. It doesn't seem like you have much doubt about it.
George, I am a great believer. It took a little longer, sure. Those that have sort of doubted what we've done so far, but the company's been revolutionized. We've had one technology for a few years till we tried to clean up. We spent more on a shoestring. We spent more time and effort in creating new product, and it really is outstanding that within a short period of time we were able to present this to our client. They sponsored this with a research council that ended up getting tested in a very short period of time, and it seems like a lot of people don't get that value in this space because maybe they aren't too close to it. But anyone else would tell you in this space, if they just pick up the phone, call any of their contacts, they would understand how hard it is to get to that point. Yeah. Same goes for the nuclear side. You know, within 1 year, we've had one portable lab system out, and we've had a deal here in Ontario that, you know, we've done phase 1. We've sent out a press release. We're going to phase 2, which is live and in and on location. I have to mention one more thing that's on the upside. We've sent a PR out, and I don't know how people sort of, you know, it didn't seem like they reacted to it much, but it's that Natural Resources Canada project that we are doing with a lot of other regulators, some industry people, well-known industry people. This is probably one of the biggest projects we would have. And we've gone through phase 1. We're going into technical review right now. And so far, they've shaved off half the applicants. It'll drop down to a quarter of the applicants. And we're looking pretty good right now. In June, if we're invited in June to submit our final proposal, and that's coming up around the corner, and we're pretty confident we're very close to it, because we're unique in the fact that what we're doing in that RFID space. And it
I gotta tell you, Alan, I've dealt with small caps the last 20 years, had over 300 clients, dealt with probably 3,000 small cap companies. I can tell you objectively, independently, how difficult it is to have one operating company with that level of clientele, that level of expertise, let alone two. So the fact that you know, you guys were able to pull that off and now get this sale done speaks volumes to you about your team and what you guys will be able to do. And before I go on to what remains at Augusta and, you know, what's next, because people at home should start to get excited about, hey, this happened for FOX-TEK. What's next for Augusta? What I want to ask you, I'm going to read a quote here. Is the intention of Augusta to distribute a portion of the consideration shares to its shareholders at a later date? So clearly, you don't have the details yet, but you know, how happy should shareholders be with the fact that they're going to be getting, you know, some shares in the new company? Do you have an idea, ballpark, of how many shares? We're not going to hold you anything, but how many and timelines? Okay,
so I'll start with this. Indirectly, the shareholders should be happy because Augusta will have a NAV that we can associate to its value. So if we distribute 0 shares, the value that we get from both the licensing agreements and from the consideration shares for the sale of FOX-TEK is the 8-cent value. So that's indirect value. If they say, what is the value? How do I lose out when we sell a primary asset in the company? No, you don't, because Augusta, we as shareholders would be the owners of that value capsulated into Augusta. Now, as far as distributing shares, whether it's return of capital or dividend, we plan on, it's definite, it's 100% that we will distribute. The methodology, whether dividend or return of capital, is yet to be seen. It won't be, all the shares. We would probably do, from the get-go, we'll probably do up to 25% right away. So,
that's great.
Of course, there's lots involved in that. There's a lot of planning to do, but that's the initial transaction. And
well, that's pretty good, considering that's about just under $2.5 million in value being returned to the shareholders via, like I said, return of capital or dividend, depending on whatever is most efficient from a tax point of view. But
correct.
that makes me happy.
Okay, that's good. It's half the value of our market cap today, almost.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more on that, or should we leave it at that?
No, I just leave it at that, because we will, this will all come out, in due time. Remember, we just put this deal together. We've got a lot of other things to do in the meantime to make it happen, and then sort of announce what we plan on doing.
So let's talk about the plan going forward. So FOX-TEK is taken care of. The company's going to get great consideration for that. What's next for Augusta in its current form? Not that FOX-TEK has been sold yet, but for now we're considering FOX-TEK, on its own, assuming the deal is going to be done. Oh, by the way, let me ask that very quickly. Do we have an ETA for expectation of when the deal will be closed and officially sold off, and everything to crisscross?
The trigger is the AGM, which is the 12th of July for Augusta. The shareholders get to vote on it, so that's the trigger date. And I would assume we would close this deal in July sometime. We'll pinpoint a date for that. But
all right, so it's coming out fast. So the rest of Augusta, you've got Marcon, obviously a very successful subsidiary with fantastic clients, U.S. government, international energy companies, and you've got Paragon blockchain, which is still not an operating subsidiary. It's not an operating subsidiary, but it's there. What's next for Augusta with what you've got left?
So, like I've always said, you can't stand still in a battlefield, and we are in a battlefield. Business is a battlefield. Marcon, we're planning on we keep on doing what we're doing, but we got to improve margins. We have to expand our horizon, find out what kind of services and products we can provide. And there are so many other things that we can do with Marcon. But what we'd like to do also to make ourselves more marketable is that blockchain, which is a drive that's, you're hearing this every day. I know it's sort of for some it's a catchphrase. For us, it's something primary. I mean, the world's moving that way. We want to build on that. We want to build a system where we would have an ecosystem that invites Marcon and other ideas that we have in mind. But we also, Augusta long term, I wouldn't say in the very short term, but in the longer, medium to long range, is look at other opportunities out there that we can bring into the fold, be it buying 10% or 50% of other companies, or investing strategically in other companies that would help and aid that vision of going forward. But I would concentrate more on the AI, on blockchain, because that's the new phase. It's sort of like putting a website on back in the late 1990s. No one had it, but you sort of tinker around with it, and it's primitive, and it gets better and better, and you start using email rather than picking up phones and faxes. So we're at that phase. I see it. I haven't seen yet someone that's gone 100% full blown out in our space, but there's a lot of talk. We've been having a number of meetings with different contacts just to sort of collect our thoughts and ideas, and a lot's been thrown at us at this time. But that's the vision that I have: is Marcon, build it, change it around, improve its value by increasing its margins. Incorporating a blockchain solution in an ecosystem that works for us and others, and also look at opportunities, be it in the same space, be it buying pieces and parts of different businesses that go along in the space and in the ecosystem that works for us. So that's where we're at. So to stand still and keep doing the same old every day would kill any business. Even Marcon itself has revolutionized itself in the 20-some years, from who the clients are and what kind of clients, what kind of product, to this stage today.
Well, normally I got to tell you, Alan, sometimes you take that as a lot of talk from people, because what else you expect them to say. But you've got a track record now. Look what you're able to do to FOX-TEK. You know, how you're able to build it up and then sell it off for some incredible value far beyond your current market cap of the entire company. So when you say you want to, you know, increase the value of Marcon, and it's safe to say you're going to have more time to focus on Marcon, because at the end of the day, you're a small cap company. You've got limited resources, most importantly, limited human resources with you and your team. So safe to say that, you know, you should not only be able to duplicate your success with FOX-TEK's value increase, but do with Marcon as well, because you're going to have more time to focus on one thing as opposed to two things.
Yeah, and blockchain too. Like blockchain is going to be a big part of this going forward. And other ideas that we have, we can't really, you know, we've been talking to others. I can't talk about what future investments right now, because there are some great ideas that have come along that would aid in the growth of Augusta as a company. So, and again, going back to FOX-TEK just a little bit, the value of FOX-TEK is where, you know, the brain set and the technology that was created. It's the new product that is launched. I mean, you don't see that every day. Sure, in our size, small market cap, you're not going to see the 100 million overnight in sales, but you should be graded and marked based on what creativity and technology has come out of this box called Augusta, or FOX-TEK in this case. That's where we should be graded. And I'm proud of it. I'm excited. I love the idea that one day we popped up and said, here, leak technology is a demand. It is going to be a greater demand too. Lots of problems out there, and regulators, their eyes are open. What we're doing actually with the natural resources is related not to the sensor, but a different sensor that we're working on. Natural resources is involved. Other entities within the government, BC, Alberta, Ontario, the National Energy Board, regulators are involved. This is no joke. And I know I've heard criticism, oh yeah, you submitted a letter of interest. It's called a letter of interest because it is a letter of interest, because they invite you to put a letter of interest in. It's a letter of interest that, you know, not a lot would pass through. Here we go, 750 down to 400 candidates only. We're going into technical review in a couple weeks. We'll find out. And this is big. To be selected is a great honor. Even if we don't end up getting it, this exposure is amazing. It's a marketing tool. This is something that we don't get every day. We don't get all the regulators and National Energy Board, Natural Resources Canada look at us. And this has been in the works. We announced a year or so ago about natural resources, and we had an NDA signed. This is all coming to fruition right now. So, and this is a multi-million-dollar deal if it works out. And a lot are involved, great names on the commercial side in business and government and regulators.
Well, look, given your track record for being able to get great deals done with what I like to call tier one entities, your customers aren't George Co. and Bob Co. You know, you've got some of the biggest U.S. government agencies and departments and some of the biggest energy companies in the world. So if there's anyone who's succeeded when you bring together both governmental agencies, departments, and energy, it's been you guys in Augusta. So no, I don't think anyone should be taking that lightly. And it sounds like you're playing for the win. So we're looking.
I'm not just
how it all plays out.
Yeah, I'm not just a CEO, and I'm not just a small shareholder. I own quite a bit. I threw in my own business, Marcon, into the game, which is of value. I could have just sold it off and retired or what have you. But I'm also an owner-operator. It's key. Owner-operator that puts their neck on the line. A lot of CEOs have no skin in the game. Not only that I have shares, but here we needed cash to finance orders in this big quarter that we had, which is actually the largest sales-wise since inception, the first quarter this year.
No,
we needed almost $500,000. Who do you think stepped up to the plate? And I put up the money to finance the orders. I've put my name on, with BDC securing a loan for the company, which is, BDC. I'm sure everyone knows.
Of course.
So I'm there with my money, my time, my effort, and anything because I am a believer. I'm not just a CEO that gets a paycheck at the end of the month and owns 0.5% of the share, the float out there. So that should go a long way. If I wasn't a believer, it would be totally different.
Al, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell this to everyone at home. You know, Agoracom thankfully has put itself in the position where it can be selective with clients. That's important because time is everything in this world, no matter what it is you're talking about. We can't afford to be wasting our time with clients. I don't care how much compensation they want to give us. If the time we put in isn't going to amount to anything because they aren't capable, haven't proven themselves, then it's a zero at the end of the day. We're believers in Augusta because we get the chance to select who we work with. We're believers in you in Augusta. We don't care that's taking a little more time than expected. That's the nature of the small cap space. It takes more time. You know, we're not Wall Street. We're not Silicon Valley. You don't have $50 million rounds of financing thrown at you with all the PR in the world. But from what we've seen, what you've been able to pull off, and from talking to you and looking at everything very closely, on the balance of probabilities, we're right behind you. And I think most of your shareholders are right behind you as well. You always have some people who aren't happy. Nothing you can do. We've talked to them. But I think most of us are right behind you. Congratulations on this sale of FOX-TEK. The amount, people don't know the amount of energy, time, sacrifice, money that you've put into getting here, right? So congratulations. Feel great. Feel proud. And we can't wait to see what you're going to do next, Alan. You've done a fantastic job.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, for every one person that's unhappy, that maybe didn't understand, or it's cloudy, there are 10 other shareholders that are very supportive. And I, you know, sort of in the same realm, when we talk about going and visiting with investors and the appreciation they show and the time, you know, there are some guys that are very busy. The reason I pick up the phone and go talk to them as shareholders is because I've got their ear, and I got their ear because they're convinced and they know me as an operator and what I've done with very little resources, really.
And that's the skill set of a small cap CEO.
Yeah.
You're able to squeeze every drop of juice out of an orange because you don't have that Wall Street, Silicon Valley backing, and that's the skill set, and you've got it, man.
Yeah, but let's unlock value and let's move forward and develop both companies, and this will take us to places where everyone will be happy.
Alan, congratulations to you on behalf of all shareholders on a great day. Thanks for joining us today, and looking forward to having you back on the show. Looks like a lot more in 2018 because there's a lot more happening.
Sounds great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
You've been watching Alan Loan. He's President and CEO of Augusta Industries. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol AAO. For those of you who don't know, Alan is also available to field your questions online on Agoracom. They've got a CEO verified discussion forum there. You ask questions, that's Alan himself that's answering, but it's all civilized, constructive, and helpful. So make sure you take advantage of that and go learn more about Augusta on the Agoracom profile. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Alan. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.